Yeah, so the new album, No Free World, this is our second LP recorded in San Mateo, California at Fang Studios with Nick Loicano.
No Free World's the title of Mara's second full-length. Comes out October 7th.
We actually recorded this record with Nick because we recorded our last one with him, What Keeps Us Standing, which we put out about 2 years ago. There's a couple of really huge differences from the first time we recorded to this time. Every experience I've had has always been kind of one of those things where you prepare yourself, you do a lot of pre-production, you get ready, you map things out, you demo it. You're basically 99.9% ready to just go into a studio and bust it out the best that you can. But with No Free World, it was different. A lot of bands will typically get a bigger budget. They'll have a lot more time. They'll do a lot of in-studio writing, have studio writers in their sessions, or have the producer have kind of a bigger role than just, being an engineer, I'm just gonna record you, press record and you're done. No Free World was a little bit more free-flowing than that. It was a lot more time, a lot more thought was put into it. We just kind of decided, hey, let's basically give us a month in the studio.
We started recording in March of 2016 this year. We had like 4 songs written before we went into the studio for an 11-track record, and those were just jammed out in my living room with Elijah, our vocalist. He and I lived together for a while, and so I'd come up with a sick riff or something and just be like, dude, come in here, let's jam it out, and we'd write a song, just 20 minutes, just make it as insanely like violent as possible.
We wrote 2 songs that are on the full length called Rigor Mortis and Without Walls. That kind of formed the basis of what this record was going to be.
Week 1 was more of a, kind of the first thing we did was we set everything up. Drums got set up, mic'd, everything kind of like normal, like we were about ready to record. Some amps were set up, dialed in a pretty decent tone. But it was more so of okay, everything's set up, that's where the writing process was finished.
Probably about 75% of the album was just jammed in the studio. Me and Travis were pretty much in a room, like just for a week straight, just writing like all of the stuff, just hammering out all the pre-pro. How we went about recording it was really like same room type of like jamming.
And then after we got the rest of the songs finished, which was I was pretty amazed by writing like 6 songs in a week, and they're pretty diverse in the way that it's still the same record, but it's not a carbon copy of each song. We kind of figured out what we wanted to do and ran with it.
We were sitting on a lot of material, so half of it was just like I said, we jam, get some ideas, typically record it like, with a phone, like, press record, get some video of it. And then from that point, we would take it to band practice, or we'd call Jacob over to our house, and he'd get on the kit and kind of elaborate a little bit more on it. But for the most part, that was a good portion of the writing process. We kind of used that whole week to the whole 4 or 5 days, however many days, to just jam ideas, write full songs. The difference, like I said, from going before where it was just have everything ready and bust it out and it's good, to okay, we don't know what this song's gonna sound like and we've got a month to do it. And that ended up really cool. Like, we really liked that, to the point where by the end of the writing process, before recording, being in the studio, the last thing we ever did, track 11 on this LP is the title track, and I didn't even have to do anything. It was more of like the guys just were ready to jam it out, and it came together. So No Free World was just one of those songs where we finished strong, I feel like, and that's where we decided, hey, this is the song, this is the title track. Week 2, after things were kind of more written and mapped out, we did the typical, okay, drum tracking, and we spent the entire week. Jacob was pretty exhausted. I know he worked and did the studio, and it almost didn't happen.
As far as the drums went, I was working 40 hours a week and then recording for 40 hours a week, so it kind of sucked, like, really badly. So that wasn't really fun, but it actually made me have to work really hard to put out some solid stuff.
Certain times it was just like he'd go into the studio from 6 in the evening, we'd leave our houses by 4 or 5, and then he'd be in the studio all night until basically 2 in the morning, and then go straight to work. And then he'd go to work, and it just repeat. So he kind of slaved on the drums a lot. I ended up tracking a song or two just to help out a little bit, but for the most part, he took it and made it his own, and it sounded really good. Drums turned out well.
Everything on the record's live. We didn't do, if there's any effects, it was all done with pedals. We didn't use anything in the computer or the programs or anything. There was no digital guitar tone. We ran all live amps through an Ampeg solid state and a PV62505 Plus through 2 Mesa cabs for different sides. We used 4 different guitars to track. There's 2 guitars on each side of every song, so when you're listening to those songs, you're hearing 2 Fender Telecasters, different models. You're hearing a Jackson Dinky and you're hearing a Sir, and those all blended together with some of the gnarliest tones I've ever created in my life.
Even with bass, the difference from the last record to this one, to No Free World, is no DI. It's just straight tone. Bass amps are mic'd. We mic'd my Mesas. Basically, just a big old wall of huge, dirty, muddy bass tone, and it sounds awesome.
We have a couple of left-hand Wrath pedals. We have 2 of the deluxe, and we also ordered 2 customs, and it's the heaviest pedal I've ever used in my life. It's like a modded HM2, and then we also use the Japanese HM2, and just quad tracked everything, and used a couple of modded tube screamers and a bunch of cool stuff.
The gear I used on the album, I used my Tama Star Classic Birch Wubinga kit. It's just a 3-piece kit. I used a Ludwig hand-hammered Black Beauty on it. Turned out awesome. I love it. I also used some TRX cymbals.
The vocals were a good, cool, challenging experience as well. We had our vocal mics, but we were also getting our natural reverb or kind of that hall sound from miking up the actual hallways. So there was no like control booth. It was just like big, loud, live recording room, live room, and then the doors were just wide open. And then we'd place mics, and those would pick up the reverb. And then we'd have a mic in the bathroom, which was just really had so much natural verb in there, and things like that were cool. So everything you hear in the record is just completely real. It's just all from mics. Whatever natural sound comes out.
Kind of just took it in every heavy direction that we possibly could from all kinds of different influences. After the record was finished, we got it back relatively quickly. We got a few preliminary mixes, and everybody threw in their opinions on what should sound different and where the levels were at. And then once we were all happy with it, we got it back and released the first single, which is the title track, No Free World. It's the heaviest song that we've done on the record, and it was probably the easiest to write, being as everything just flowed. We sat down and jammed out every single riff in that song, and it was all done in the studio. My favorite part was being able to just sit down and jam with everyone in the band being there, and we had a producer who tracked all the stuff. Just all of our ideas were already put down. We could go back and listen to it instead of being at band practice and not being able to do what we were doing. We all sacrificed plenty to make this happen, and so this record definitely means the world to me and to the rest of us as well. I'm really excited to put it out. I've known Jacob, the drummer, for about 6 years now. I played his first show back in like 2013, something like that, and he's been in almost every single one of my bands ever since. We had a metal band together prior to this. We've done all kinds of cool musical things together, but it's been nice having a band where both of us were out of our comfort zone with the genre, and then came in, and this is like one of our favorites now. So he had recommended me for the guitar spot after the guitarist and the bassist left. And so it ended up being myself, Chad Stevens, Elijah, and then Jacob. And Chad quit the band not too long ago. Right after we finished recording the record, Chad left. And then we now have Chandler Crane, who moved out here from Texas to play guitar and join.
I moved out here from Texas to join Mara after seeing that they were holding auditions on Facebook. So yeah, I sent them a couple videos. They talked back and forth, and then pretty soon I got a text from Elijah asking me, when I can come down. And then it was like I didn't even think about it. I had my stuff packed up and I was ready to get out here. It's a whole atmosphere in itself, playing with Mara. It's really cool. My favorite song to play is definitely Infectious Hate. In my opinion, the heaviest song on the album. Second to that, No Free World.
I have like 3 favorite songs. It is the intro track, it is Infectious Hate, and then No Free World. Those, I think, are, to me, like the heaviest, most aggressive, in your face, just steamroller, really.
One thing I really wanted, just little details, is like when the album starts, it kicks in, boom, a bunch of noise. The album ends, a bunch of noise. So it's like the way you start is the way you finish. It's basically the way that the whole album turns out is just raw, it's real, nothing in it's fake. It's just kind of what we feel we sound on the record is the way that we sound live. So that's basically No Free World in a nutshell.